I remember the sound of my own breath before the crash. Slow, nervous. The kind of breath you take when you're trying to convince yourself everything's fine, even when your gut tells you it isn't. I was 17, and my parents had just let me borrow the rusted silver sedan they barely maintained, as long as I picked up my little sister from her dance class and dropped her at the salon after. It was always like that. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments, from where are you watching this video? I was the errand girl, the free chauffeur, the backup plan when everyone else had real plans. And yet, even knowing that I still said yes because part of me still wanted to be noticed, still wanted my mom to say thanks, honey, instead of don't be late, her hair's more important than your excuses. But that night, it rained. Not the light, gentle drizzle kind. I'm talking sheets, torrential. The roads in our town flood fast, and the sedan's tires had no tread left. Dad never thought it was urgent. I was 5 minutes from the salon when the world flipped. One wrong turn, one missed break, one flash of headlights. The scream never made it out of my throat. Metal screamed louder. Glass shattered. My arm hit the steering wheel. Something cracked. Then silence. I woke up to blood in my mouth and my left leg numb. The passenger side was crushed in, caging me in. My phone had been flung somewhere under the seat. The airbag had burned my chest. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how I die in the car my dad never serviced, trying to get my sister to her damn hair appointment. But then I saw headlights again. I blinked through the blur. A car was approaching. My parents' SUV. Relief. For half a second, I thought I was saved. They pulled over. My mom jumped out, not toward me, but toward the passenger side where Emily, my 15-year-old sister, sat crying but uninjured. "She's gonna be late," Mom shrieked. "I told you this car was junk," Dad barked, surveying the crumpled hood. They didn't come to my side. Not even when I groaned. Not even when I cried, "I think my arm's broken." Emily had a scratch on her cheek. That's it. But Mom was already brushing her hair out of her face and tucking her toward the SUV. "We can't miss the appointment. They charge a fee if you're more than 10 minutes late." I was still pinned. Still bleeding. "Dad," I whispered weakly, "please, help. I can't feel my leg." He looked at me once. Just once. And said, "If you could drive yourself into a wreck, you can figure out how to get out." They left. They left me there. Bleeding, trapped, rain pounding on the shattered windshield. I don't know how I found the strength. I don't know where the will came from, but I unbuckled, sobbing, and dragged myself across broken glass to the passenger side door, kicked it open with my good leg, crawled onto the roadside like a dying animal. A stranger. A woman in her 50s stopped 20 minutes later and called 911. I was in the ER for 6 hours, a fractured femur, a dislocated shoulder, deep gashes on my ribs. They had to sedate me just to stitch me up. And when I woke up in a hospital bed, my parents weren't there. They didn't come. Not that night, not the next day, not until the hospital sent a bill for my treatment and needed a guardian's signature. When they did show up, Mom walked in with a Starbucks cup and said, "You're going to have to pay this off, you know. We're not rich." Dad just crossed his arms and muttered, "Maybe next time you'll drive safer." Emily? She posted a photo on Instagram from the salon that night captioned, "A twat, car crash drama, but I still got the curls." And the comments? "Your fam is iconic. Slay, even in chaos. Hope your sister's okay, but you ate." No one knew the truth. No one knew I almost bled out because no one wanted to miss a blowout. And that was the moment, the exact second I stopped being their daughter and started being something else. A storm they never saw coming. And this time, they'd be the ones trapped. Recovery wasn't just slow, it was humiliating. I had to stay in a rehab center for 6 weeks because my parents didn't want the hassle of caring for me at home. My room in the house was turned into a closet overflow space, according to my sister, who posted a TikTok tour of it while I was still in a wheelchair. I watched it from a rehab bed with tears streaming down my face. When I finally limped home, shoulder still in a brace, leg scarred and stiff, there was no welcome. No balloons, no We're glad you're alive." Just Emily yelling, "Ugh, does this mean she's back already? I was using her desk." "And Mom?" She pointed at the table and said, "Don't get blood on the cushions. They're new." I realized then that I wasn't their child. I was a burden that hadn't died when I was supposed to. So I stayed quiet. I played the good daughter, cooked, cleaned, even folded laundry with one arm while my body still ached. But I listened. And what I learned changed everything. They had taken out a small life insurance policy on me when I turned 16. Nothing suspicious, just one of those college fund alternatives, they said. But after the crash, they tried to cash it in. While I was still alive. The hospital rejected the inquiry, but that explained everything. They had planned for me to be gone. And when I survived, I became inconvenient. So I made a decision. I stopped crying and I started planning. I got a job at a call center 3 towns over, saved every dime, moved out without a word at 19, enrolled in online college, took night classes, and took odd gigs. I rented a room from a kind retired teacher who knew I had a past, but didn't pry. And 5 years later, I was 24, a college graduate, a licensed trauma counselor, and a woman who just bought the building that housed my parents' beloved family salon, the same place Emily had slayed her curls during the night I almost died. The place my mom bragged about owning 50% of the business in front of her bridge club. What she didn't know, the other 50% owner had sold their shares 6 months ago. To me. Quietly, legally, entirely. But I wasn't finished yet. I waited until Mom was planning a huge spring beauty event, something the salon had every year to attract influencers, clients, and wedding bookings. She was already bragging about it in the neighborhood newsletter. And I let her. The night before the event, I walked in with a clipboard and a smile. The receptionist, now my employee, handed me the master keys. I entered the office and replaced every poster, every reservation screen, every client confirmation card with a notice printed in bold. "Event canceled. Management has changed. Contact Dr. Rivers for details." Yes, Dr. Rivers. I'd changed my last name. But they knew. Oh, they knew who I was when I walked into the middle of the salon the next morning, wearing black slacks and a blazer, clipboard in hand. Mom's mouth fell open. Emily dropped her iced coffee. Dad, who had swung by to take credit for the event as usual, froze. I calmly said, "You'll need to collect your belongings. As of today, this property is under new ownership, and you're not on the lease." "But this is our salon!" Mom shrieked. "Not anymore," I said. "And if you think of trespassing, the cameras I just installed say otherwise." Emily stormed out, crying. Dad tried to argue. I handed him a letter from my lawyer. "Mom?" She stared at me like she was seeing a ghost. "You're not our daughter anymore," she hissed. I smiled. I never was, apparently. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I didn't call names. I didn't need to. They had left me bleeding once. Now I left them stunned and irrelevant. After I evicted them from the salon, you'd think that would be the end. But narcissists don't go down quietly, they just pivot to pity. Within days, my parents started telling everyone in the neighborhood that I had gone crazy, that I was vengeful and mentally unstable and attacking them over a childhood misunderstanding. They told everyone that I was always dramatic, and the car crash had been an accident they had nothing to do with. Emily? She went on social media and posted an old photo of me with the caption, "Some people never heal. They just hurt others." What they didn't know was this. I had everything documented. The hospital discharge papers, the 911 audio logs from the woman who found me, the insurance company's rejection letter after they tried to collect my life policy while I was still alive, screenshots of texts, emails, everything. And now I had an audience. Through my work as a trauma counselor, I had quietly grown a blog and following a private but growing community for people with narcissistic parents. Thousands of women who had gone through what I had, and worse. When I posted my story anonymously, it went viral within 2 days. And then I dropped the receipts. No names, no identifying details, but enough proof that people started asking, Who would leave their child bleeding in a car to make a hair appointment? Who tries to cash a life insurance policy on their still-living daughter? Who does this? It spread like wildfire. Even local news picked it up in the form of an anonymous blog whistleblower story. And you know what happened next? Their friends stopped calling. Their church group removed them quietly from the directory. Their salon license expired and never renewed was now a topic of public inspection. The clients vanished, the beauty empire collapsed. And me? I opened a new clinic in that same building. A trauma therapy center free for teens who have survived family neglect or abuse. The name on the glass? The Resilience Room. On opening day, I gave a speech. I didn't name names. I didn't shout. I simply said, I once bled in a car while the people I loved rushed to an appointment. Today, I hold the keys to the space they left me to die for. So, if you've ever been abandoned, bruised, or silenced, this room is for you. There were tears in the audience. I saw myself in so many of them, and I realized I didn't need them to apologize. I just needed to never become like them. Months later, I got a letter from Emily. No apology, just bitterness. How does it feel to ruin your own family? She wrote. I smiled, because the truth is I didn't ruin a family. I escaped one. And I built something better with the pieces they left behind. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.